4 years passed, I was sadistically enamoured at the hand of Tarsier Studios by Little Nightmares, a terrifying and haunting experience following a seemingly innocent little girl by the name of Six, desperately trying to escape the grotesque clutches of the Maw. This insufferable yet exhilarating experience has lingered with me to this very day, and has, and always will remain, one of my top recommended games that all should experience. Though I'll be a little honest, a part of me really just wants to instill dread into everyone, and of course, your nightmares. So here I am, now matured into my 30s, and I would love to believe that I've become more adept at avoiding self-inflicted stress and emotional torment. Sadly, it turns out I'm somewhat of a masochist, as when I became aware that Little Nightmares 2 was in the works, I couldn't help but tremble in fear and excitement at the prospect of facing this evocative experience again. Needless to say, I jumped right in at the earliest opportunity, so without further ado, let me prepare you for your new nightmares. Little Nightmares 2 is a dark, thrilling suspense adventure set sometime after Six's escape from the Maw and shifts focus to a new young boy named Mono and the Pale City, a decaying metropolis tormented and distorted by a distant, malevolent and mysterious tower at the hands of the Thin Man. In an imposing world that seems too cruel and lonely for such a small child, not long after your journey begins, you encounter the previous protagonist, Six, where together you join hands to unravel the dark secrets held within and fight for your life and struggle against your terrible fate. Your journey begins in the dismal forest, shrouded by fog and dense looming trees with the occasional television set lying around, which strangely has no place being there. This unsettling environment engulfs you with a dank feeling as the long grass sways in the foreground while the trees and falling leaves fade into the depths of an otherwise grand backdrop. As you venture through the forest, do not let the initial stillness fool you, as there are many treacherous traps lying in wait. From swinging logs to bone-crushing bear traps, you must use your instincts, pick up and throw items around you if you hope to make it through the first hurdle, and indeed survive the horrors ahead. As with its predecessor, gameplay utilises simple mechanics, but this doesn't mean the game poses no challenge, as once again it takes creative imagination and clever application of the tactile environment to surpass the many obstacles and puzzles throughout. New mechanics are soon introduced, and it becomes apparent that Little Nightmares 2 has somewhat matured from its more innocent roots, with a more violent call to arms making it into your very hands, in the form of items like axes or shotguns that can be picked up and used to destroy surrounding doors, and not least outright attacking your bloodthirsty enemies. Another new mechanic's been introduced in the form of companionship. Having rescued Six from the Hunter, you must work together to overcome obstacles, from being hoisted up to unreachable heights to taking a leap of faith over a perilous chasm toward an outstretched hand. I for one am thankful from the bottom of my fast-pounding heart for this addition, as the looming omen of my previous experience was somewhat relieved knowing I didn't have to venture on alone. That being said, Six is controlled by the AI and gameplay remains a single-player experience, though perhaps this is for the best, as I'm sure any potential player too would soon nope out of the situation as the inevitable shrieks and deaths ensue, which is certainly true on my part. As you duck, jump, swing and weave through a grim swamp, a short respite over a silent lake comes to an ominous halt, as you're struck with a sense of pessimism while a pale city appears on the horizon. Thus begins 4 more chapters of dreaded torment, which introduced a host of new horrifying residents and locations which will require quick ingenuity if you wish to make it through. Upon entering the city, the vast sense of depth and how small your existence feels within this world is made strikingly apparent from here on out. But despite this, the intricate details lovingly crafted throughout is genuinely breathtaking. The school is a devilish place filled with hollow bullies and a strict teacher that will make you wish the bell would ring out for the end, but there are some fun puzzles to occupy your mind. What could be worse than a creepy school though? The answer to that is an even creepier hospital. Never will you want out of somewhere so badly. It's here that I was briefly reminded of the Doctor Who episode Rose, where it turns out the inanimate mannequins and prosthetics aren't so inanimate after all. The silent dark halls and operating rooms abruptly fill with eerie music, and the sounds of something crawling around before you see it is quickly followed by a heart-pounding pursuit, making you wish you did indeed have a sonic screwdriver rather than a flickering torchlight. Certainly, that is one Doctor you never want to run into again. As you start to reach the end, the true race begins as the Thin Man amplifies his pursuit and the world starts to distort, utilising and controlling televisions to traverse and evade him and the mesmerised viewers. This was perhaps the most inspiring yet confounding experience, with the concept of reality bent as you traverse daunting labyrinths in seemingly perpetual motion that remind me somewhat of the works Cycle and Relativity by MC Escher. Trying to find the right path through was rather strenuous, but what awaited me on the other side made me want to run right back in and lose myself in its madness. Little Nightmares 2 has far surpassed the original, and it holds true that this series remains one of the most terrifying and emotionally provocative experiences you'll ever face. Once again, Tarsier Studios have enthralled me, gripping me for a solid 9-hour playthrough that I just couldn't step away from. I've experienced loneliness, companionship, hope, joy, despair, terror and betrayal. Overall, I feel like my heart's been ripped out, but I would willingly go through it all again. If I had to find fault with anything, the controls can be a little cumbersome and may take some getting used to, and at times my jumps didn't quite land the way I wanted. Will I be revisiting? Yes, it appears I truly am a masochist, but there are collectible, wearable hats and sorrowful glitches that I must go back for. I'm sure this is not the last we'll see of Six and Mono's story, and I'm genuinely excited to see what comes next. Thank you for joining us. If you have enjoyed this video, please drop us a like, leave us a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care guys, bye bye.